Right, so while we've been focused on the economy here, as of course we have been, there's been movement on the American story too, hasn't there? Donald Trump, now tell me where we are with this. Donald Trump has told us that there is a deal. He's got a deal with President Xi, with Beijing, on tariffs, on trade. Now look, with due respect to President Trump, by which I mean not excessive respect, when Donald Trump tells us that he's got a deal, it doesn't necessarily mean that he does. So does he, Sarah?
Well, he thinks he does, and it does look like he does. So Howard Lutnick was very bullish. That's his trade secretary. And of course, the talks have been unfolding in London. So perhaps people in London with their ears to the ground know more than me here. But Donald Trump thinks he has a deal. The Chinese had played tough with giving rare earth minerals to the Americans.
Yes.
That appears to be their tough position now appears to have softened, and that trade is going to reopen. And it looks like the total tariffs on China will be around 55%. Now, that's quite heavy.
Yeah.
That's 30% from this year, and added to tariffs that were already in place with China before Trump came back to power. So goods are going to be more expensive, but they're not going to be ludicrously so in the way that they were.
Right. So it's not exactly peace and harmony. It's still a pretty aggressive position on the part of Donald Trump. Although, as you say, we may see a deal whereby those rare earths are allowed into America, and on the other side of that, China want more access to American tech. So those were the sort of baselines of this conversation. But it still looks pretty tough. I wonder what the markets are going to make of it.
Well, actually, the markets love it, and the markets are rip-roaring today. They also like the fact that inflation has come in pretty low. It's gone up by 0.1% this month, which isn't bad. In fact, given all the tariffs, that's looking pretty good. But, of course, the pain is yet to come, and Jamie Dimon, who's the head of JP Morgan, US's big bank in these matters, is still warning of pain ahead.
Okay, so yeah, more work to do, but it's looking a bit smoother than it was. So, Scarlett Maguire, you've done so much polling, haven't you, on your frequent trips to America, on American opinion on the US economy, and including these tariff wars. And in the wider public, there's been so much skepticism. Well, how could there not be? It's been so unpredictable, so up and down.
Yeah, I think the tariffs have been, obviously we've seen very dramatic scenes in America over the past few days, but I actually think tariffs and the economy remain the sort of biggest red light, as you say, flashing red light, if I was looking at sort of dashboard, if I was in the White House thinking about public opinion. Because we have seen that Trump's approval ratings are actually, they're sort of holding up. They have taken a bit of a tumble, so he's now on average of 52% approve, 44% disapprove, so people aren't feeling very well, and a lot of that is through perceived uncertainty around the economy. And it's quite interesting because even some of his own base aren't sure that they're not going to end up hurting them. So that, in some senses, I think today will be received very welcomely. Now, we know partly because of voters' experience during the Biden administration that voters can be quite sceptical about good news for the economy. It depends on very much what they feel. But I think it could reassure quite a lot of people. And if Donald Trump can steward the economy so that the tariffs don't absolutely wreck it in America, then actually I think he's in a stronger position than some of us over here might think.
Right, okay, I want to move on to the tense situation in Los Angeles, which is also now involving a tense situation in various other cities that have been targeted by Donald Trump as on the wrong side of the line when it came to immigration policy. Some of them so-called sanctuary cities, which have set out as a matter of policy to defy his immigration policy. Sarah, I mean, LA is still the focus of all of this, a standoff, a face-off between the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, and the president. And it's right, isn't it, today the governor made a televised address blaming the president for making the violence worse. Have a listen. I think we can hear that. I hope we can hear that.
The position of the Democrat Party is that the federal government is not allowed to enforce our laws and to arrest and deport illegal alien criminals. They're attempting to use a violent mob as a weapon against their own constituents to prevent the enforcement of immigration law. This is deeply un-American and morally reprehensible. President Trump received a clear mandate from voters to reverse the illegal invasion ushered in by Joe Biden's open border and to end the lawlessness represented by Karen Bass in Gavin Newsom's California.
Right, you'll gather. We like to keep you on your toes on this show, and those of you who managed to guess, that was not actually Governor Gavin Newsom. It was, in fact, the President's press secretary, Caroline Levitt, wins the prize. There's nothing for getting that right, but we just like to sort of keep you guessing. And you certainly get the sense there. I don't know if we can get that Gavin Newsom clip from anyone. You get the sense there of the aggressive position being taken by the White House, and this, unless I'm mistaken, is what Gavin Newsom had to say.
Donald Trump, without consulting California law enforcement leaders, commandeered 2,000 of our state's National Guard members to deploy on our streets, illegally and for no reason. This brazen abuse of power by a sitting president inflamed a combustible situation, putting our people, our officers, and even our National Guard at risk. That's when the downward spiral began. He doubled down on his dangerous National Guard deployment by fanning the flames even harder. And the president, he did it on purpose.
So Gavin Newsom there, the California government, I mean, just laying it on back to the White House and Donald Trump. I'll just say at the outset here that Gavin Newsom is a leading Democrat. He's a man with his own political ambitions. He's a man who everyone understands rather fancies running for the presidency, given half a chance when the time comes. But all that said, Sarah, this standoff is very ugly now, and it's spreading.
Yes, I don't think it is good news for Gavin Newsom, although he's getting a lot of plaudits from Democrats for being the one Democratic leader willing to punch back against Donald Trump, and it's doing his 2028 chances of winning the Democratic primaries no harm. But actually, I can't help thinking that Donald Trump would love nothing better than the governor of California to be his chief opponent. MAGA sees California as representative of everything that's wrong. Too many sanctuary cities, high taxes, high crime, lots of homelessness, and a very wealthy and rather elitist governor in the figure of Gavin Newsom. So, it's good to have somebody fighting back if you're a Democrat, but is he the right guy?
And of course, this issue goes beyond that sort of face-off between these two, big figures on the red and the blue side, Sarah, doesn't it? You've got U.S. Marines on the streets of Los Angeles. You've got the Secretary for Defense, Pete Hegseth, saying they could be there for who knows how long, for months. I think he told a congressional committee yesterday. They are on the White House side pushing against all the norms of the federal government, and the forces of the U.S. military are being deployed in well, it's not even accepted that the threat of law and order in LA and elsewhere justifies it. That's why I say this is so ugly and so worrying.
Well, yes, and I don't think the protests are going to die down anytime soon. If anything, they're going to spread to other cities. Yeah. And there are big demonstrations planned for this Saturday at the same time.
That's the day of the march of the parade.
Exactly so. So, I don't think the situation is going to calm down imminently. Plus, at the moment, the Marines are on the streets of LA guarding federal buildings, but aren't at the moment allowed to engage, in hand-to-hand with protesters. That's still up to the federalized National Guard. Yeah. But Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, has been speaking about invoking the Insurrection Act of 1807, which would be a pretty inflammatory move, but also one that could be legal and gives the Marines the right to take direct action against protesters. And this would be a very, very controversial step.
Yeah. Is that a serious threat, Sarah? I mean, there's a lot of threats bandied about, including arresting Gavin Newsom. It's hard to imagine that. But maybe invoking the Insurrection Act, is that a real possibility?
Well, it's something that MAGA forces have toyed with for a long time, including Donald Trump. It's always been very appealing, the fact that law is on the statute books and can be invoked at will, which really does hand the president enormous powers. What we're discovering under Donald Trump is that the presidential executive is very powerful if you're willing to use all the laws available to you, and Donald Trump is not shy about coming forward on this.
Yeah, I mean, Kate and it makes our politics look so serene, doesn't it, by comparison?
It really does. I'm actually heading out to Washington tomorrow to cover the Donald Trump's big birthday tank parade.
Are you going for
yeah,
You're writing about that in Washington?
I'm right. Yes,
right.
I'm heading out to
okay, don't
cover
wave
that
a banner, right?
I will do my best
yeah.
not to get arrested and deported while I'm there.
It might take an effort. The president is telling us, isn't he, Scarlett, that anyone who protests, he didn't say violently or not, anyone who protests, he said they're going to deal with that with great force.
Well, I hope not for Mikey's name. He does get himself into any trouble.
Yeah.
No.
You've got to keep smiling. I don't know.
Don't want you to accidentally end up in an El Salvador prison or anything. We'll have to kind of rescue you. Taj Radio will have to send a little rescue flight to repatriate you.
I will behave.
Sarah, I mean, we've still got a moment or two. I must ask you this. Elon Musk and Donald Trump, have they kissed and made up?
Well, on the surface, definitely. Elon Musk has declared he regrets his intemperate tweets, or should I call them X posts. And Donald Trump has said he kind of understands and that, he loves Elon, really. So I think but I don't think he's going to be quite let into the Mar-a-Lago and Oval Office tent all that quickly. But we do know Donald Trump loves a repentant sinner, and it's Elon who's apologised, not Trump.